Welcome back to Starkiller Base. Today we continue our Spirit of the Rebellion card analysis series with the blue neutral cards from the set. So let's get underway, and we'll start off with a big bang. This one here is called Force Speed. Perhaps you've heard of it. It is a zero cost upgrade ability. The die sides show a 1 focus, a 1 shield, a special, and a blank. It is blue character only, and the special says take up to 2 additional actions. This is the first die we see with 3 specials, I believe. And this card is ridiculous. It's probably going to be the most expensive Spirit of the Rebellion card for a while. And action cheating is just great. I mean, it is a zero cost die, first of all. It has a focus and a shield, which is not bad. And the special on it is just great. I mean, you roll in any character. Say you roll 3 blanks and a special on Force Speed. And then next time you have an action, you go, I'm going to resolve the Force Speed special. I will take first action to discard a card and reroll my dice. And then second action, which I can take without any interruption, I can just resolve them. So if I roll my blanks into 9 damage, boom, hit you in the face. Nothing you can do about it. If you have fast hands on the character and roll in Force Speed, so Vader Raider, for example, you have Force Speed and fast hands on Vader, you roll in some blanks, but the Force Speed special, you fast hands the Force Speed special, you discard a reroll, and then you hit your opponent. You can roll in and roll in well. Let's say you roll in again with Vader Raider, you roll in Vader, you get a 3 melee, and the Force Speed special. You can resolve the Force Speed special, take your first action to roll in your Tusken Raider, and then second action to resolve whatever melee he rolled, as well as the damage on Vader. It is gross. Die control cards are only useful when you have the opportunity to play them. So if you can take away your opponent's opportunity to play them, then your dice are more likely to do what you want them to do. Next, we have Force Push. It is a 3 cost upgrade ability. Its die sides show a 2 ranged, a 2 ranged, a 2 discard, a special, and a blank. It is blue character only, and the special reads turn up to 2 of an opponent's dice to the sides of your choice. So it does have range damage. It doesn't have any disrupt on it, like most of the other blue ability upgrades that function like this one, like Force Throw and Mind Probe and that sort of thing. It has 2 discard, which makes it good in a mill deck. The 2 range damage is not bad. I mean, most of the other ones have, like a 1 range damage and then no other damage. So if you're looking to control and do damage, this is a pretty great card. The one thing you have to be careful of is if you're playing against an It's a Trap deck, you have a 1 in 3 chance of rolling a range damage, as opposed to the other ones, you only had a 1 in 6. But 2 damage and not having to pay for it is pretty great. The special is really interesting. I played against a Vader Raider deck where the Tusken Raider has Force Push on it from a Holocron. And one turn I rolled in my Jabba. He rolled in Force Push, got the special, discarded a card to blank my Jabba dice. Another time he rolled in first, got the special, and then when I rolled in Jabba, it didn't matter what I ended up with because he could then take his next action to blank my Jabba dice. I mean, that works with anything. I mean, if you're playing against Darth Vader and you can blank 2 of his dice, it's pretty great. You can also chain it with, let's say that you have a Force Push and 2 Force Throws, and your opponent's got Darth Vader with 2 blank dice. You can go, I'm going to Force Push Vader. I'm going to turn up to 2 of his dice to 3s. So I turn both of his Vader dice to 3 melee. And then I'll Force Throw one at him and Force Throw the other one at him. So there's a lot of options. It's not just blanking it, which is nice. Force Choke is the same way. You get to choose the side. The versatility in Force Choke is lost here in that you cannot choke your own character to set their die size to what you want. But I think this is a pretty great card, and I really like running it in Holocron decks. It's also pretty good in Blue Hero decks now that Destiny and that sort of thing is out there, helping them with some economy. Next, we have Makashi Training. It is a 2 cost upgrade ability. The die sides show a +1 melee, a +2 melee, a +2 melee, a shield, a resource, and a blank. It says to play, spot a blue character. So this is like Force Training in that you don't have the restriction that you cannot play it on a non-blue character. So if you're running Vader Raider, you can put on the Tusken Raider. If you're running Grievous in somebody, you can put Makashi Training on Grievous. And holy smokes, Makashi Training on Grievous is really good. The action on it says remove 1 of your dice showing melee damage and exhaust this upgrade to remove a die showing melee damage. So if you're in a melee heavy meta, then Makashi Training actually functions as some die control as well. Where it says that you have to exhaust the upgrade to remove a die showing melee, all it's doing is limiting it to 1 per round, as opposed to being able to repeatedly remove your melee dice to remove your opponent's melee dice. It is a really good card. It works well with Dooku and Ventress, who both have unmodified and non-pay melee damage sides. Darth Vader, obviously, really great with it. Qui-Gon and Rey are pretty good with it. It's a really strong card. I mean, it does end up causing some problems when you can't find an unmodified melee damage side to resolve them with, but it's pretty good. Let's move on to the non-die cards. We start off with Decisive Blow. It is a 3-cost event. It reads, resolve one of your dice showing melee damage, then remove all character and upgrade dice of the character you just dealt damage to. This card can cause a huge blowout on the turn, but holy smokes, it's expensive. So I guess you could put it into play for free with Premonitions or something like that, but I don't think you want to do that. Obi-Wan Kenobi could also, on his death blow, you could resolve one of his melee damage dice if you wanted to, and then remove a whole bunch of dice from one of your opponent's characters. The only issue, of course, is if you're trying to kill character A, and character B is the one that has all the dice that are unresolved in the pool, then you still have to hit character B with the damage, which is not ideal. I don't know if it'll see a lot of play because of the cost, but it is a very strong card. Next we have High Ground. It is a 1-cost event. Play only if you control the battlefield, so that's one of the first things we see in a blue deck with the battlefield control. It reads, remove an opponent's die showing damage, then if it was a character die, deal 1 damage to that character. So it is versatile in that it doesn't matter whether it's melee or range, which is nice because a lot of cards have that fault. You have the problem, of course, that you need to control the battlefield in order to use it, which sometimes you don't, in which case it's a dead card. And then, of course, it has an added benefit where if it was a character die you removed, you deal 1 damage to the character. 1 isn't all that much, but I'll take an extra damage on my opponent, no problem. Next we have Momentum Shift. It is a 1-cost event. It reads, move 1 shield from an opponent's character to one of your characters. I guess if you're in a shield heavy meta, it's pretty good. I don't really like the card myself. One of the clarifications in the RRG says that if your character has 3 shields, you cannot use Momentum Shift to move a shield to that character. As far as Qui-Gon's ability goes, I would assume that you could use it because Qui-Gon is gaining shield when the shield is being moved over. Next we have Overconfidence, not to be confused with Confidence. It is a 1-cost event. It says spot a blue character to reroll 2 dice, then remove one of those dice with the lowest value you choose in the case of a tie. It's a pretty interesting card. I ran it in the tournament I was playing yesterday, and it did some work. It is versatile because you reroll 2 dice. It doesn't have to be your dice. It doesn't have to be your opponent's dice. It could be some combination thereof. I was playing against a deck that had Death Trooper in it, and he rolled 2 range damage on 2 dice. And so I just said, well, I don't want to take 4 damage, so let me play Overconfidence, make you reroll both of those, and I'll remove the lowest. Turn the 4 range damage into a 1 range damage and a blank, and I remove the blank, so it saved me 3 damage. It's pretty good. It's pretty cheap. It's pretty versatile. I like it. If you're playing, say, Vader and somebody else, you can use it as die control where you reroll one of your blank Vader dice and their dice, and chances are your Vader die is going to end up with a higher value than theirs and get rid of their dice and give you the reroll. So it has a lot of options. It did some pretty serious work against mill decks because Padme dice have so many 0 values on them. Next we have Premonitions. It is a 0-cost event. It reads, choose 1, set this card aside and stack a card from your hand on it face down, or play the stacked card on another copy of this card for free and discard the set aside copy. What does that mean? That's a good question. So let's say that I have Premonitions and an ATST in my hand. I can then play Premonitions. I put Premonitions in my set aside area and I play ATST on it face down. Then the next time I see a Premonitions, I can choose the second option, which is I can play the stack card on another copy of this card for free and discard the set aside copy. So basically what I'm doing is I play Premonitions the second time. I take the ATST off my previous Premonitions, put it into play for free, which is pretty amazing, and then get rid of the Premonitions that was in the set aside area and then discard this Premonitions as well. You can use it for Rise Again to put Rise Again in for free, and it can get pretty ridiculous. I mean, it is kind of combo-y because let's say I have Premonitions, but I don't have a card that I want to Premonitions in. Say I'm playing a mono blue deck for simplicity's sake. I pull my Premonitions, but I don't have my Rise Again yet. I have to sit on my Premonitions until I find my Rise Again, and because Premonitions requires you to have both Premonitions to use it, if one of them gets discarded, the second one is useless. One thing that's also interesting, of course, is, let's say that I play premonitions and I put an ATST on it, and then my opponent plays premonitions. They can choose to either do their own thing and set something on their premonitions, or they can use their premonitions to put the card that is set on my premonitions into play for free. So they could steal my ATST in that sense. Knowing that, you could do a little bit of I know that you know kind of thing and play something like Noble Sacrifice on your premonitions and dare them to steal it from you. If they stole it from you thinking that they were all smart, all of a sudden they have to sacrifice one of their blue characters, so it would completely blow up in their face, which would be hilarious, but the odds of that happening are ridiculously low. It's an interesting card. It definitely would make for some fun decks. I'm not sure how consistent and tournament winning they will be, but I'm not sure what's going on with that art. But it looks like Yoda's having a good time. Next we have Rejuvenate. It is a 0-cost event. It's a spotted blue character to heal 1 damage from a character. Not bad. Heals 1. It costs 0. With all the action cheating that's out there, this is actually a pretty decent card because your die removal events may not be able to trigger because of all the action cheating, so it may be better just to remove a damage from the character after they've taken it. Now it does say spotted blue character, so you have to have a blue character alive, but you can heal the 1 damage from any character. Next we have Trust Your Instincts. It is a 0-cost event. It reads spotted blue character to reroll any number of its character and upgrade dice. Then you may draw a card. So this is kind of interesting. When I first looked at it, I thought it was amazing, but it cost me 2 slots in my deck where I can use any card and discard it to reroll any of my dice. So the only real benefit to this one is that I get to draw a card back up again, which is a decent effect, but I don't think it's enough of an effect to warrant me running this card in my deck. I'd rather have a card that could be discarded for a reroll, but actually has a secondary ability like isolating a character die or, defensive stance or something like that, that actually has a second effect that I can use rather than just discard to reroll. This one, obviously, it does have a second effect. It's just not that much more than just discarding to reroll. Next, we have Meditate. It is a 0-cost support. It reads action, exhaust this support, and remove 1 of your dice showing a blank to turn 1 of your dice to a side not showing damage. It's quite the mouthful, and it's quite conditional. First of all, it's a support. Second of all, it has an action on it, so it's going to slow down your deck. You can remove a blank, which is good. It has to be 1 of your blanks, which is not good. And then you get to turn 1 of your dice to a side not showing damage. You could run it in a Vader Kylo deck and just use it to turn your dice to a special instead of damage, but I'm not a fan. I don't want to remove my dice showing blanks. I'd like to re-roll them. Lastly, we have Force Illusion. It is a 1-cost upgrade ability. It reads, before a touched character takes damage, you may discard cards from the top of your deck equal to that damage to block it. Then discard this upgrade from play. So, first of all, it's an upgrade ability, but you can put it on any color character. It's not blue character only, which is nice. It cannot be disarmed because it's an ability, not an equipment or a weapon. It has a before ability, which is great because, again, in this action cheating meta we live in, you can have it out there and it doesn't matter if your opponent does something that you cannot stop or mitigate with an event because you've got this to take care of that. The one thing you need to be careful of course, is that because this blocks damage, if the damage that is coming your way is unblockable, then you cannot use it. So if there's a Vibra Knife out and I've got lethal melee damage coming at you, you're just dead. Another thing is that if I have, let's say that I'm trying to hit you for 5, a 2 and a +3. If you don't have 5 cards in your deck, you cannot trigger this ability. You can't, discard 4 to block 4 of it. It just doesn't work because you can't pay the cost. The other thing, of course, is that when I play, I see my opponents just take 4 melee dice and just shove them my way and go, here, there's 8 damage. This, of course, is only going to be from 1 damage source. So if they have a 2, a 2, a 2, and a 2, the most that Force Illusion can block is 2 damage. It's fantastic against modified sides. So if I hit you for 5 altogether, then stopping that 5 is great. Mind Probe is a great one to stop. The issue, of course, is that you're milling yourself. But, of course, generally, if you have 2 aggro decks going at one another, you're not going to get through 3 rounds anyway. So it's not like you're going to run out of cards in your deck, so it doesn't really matter. I think it's a great card. Once again, because of all the action cheating in the meta, I think that it's really important to have these sort of reactive control cards. It's not really a control card, but it's effectively dice mitigation, right? Like I just blocked 6 of your damage by discarding 6 cards from the top of my deck, and I didn't have to do it before you could do something because it's just got a before ability on it. I really like this card, and I think that it'll see a lot of play. So that is it for the blue neutral cards from Spirit of the Rebellion. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, please like and subscribe, and we'll continue to bring you Destiny content. Keep an eye out for the next video coming soon, and thanks for watching, everybody. See you next time.